What does it mean to have an E2 change of status? With any kind of change in status, what that means is you're going from one non-immigrant category to another non-immigrant category. Technically, in legalese, immigration legalese, if you're going from a non-immigrant category to an immigrant category, that's called adjustment of status, or AOS. But if you're going from, say, a tourist visa to an E2 or from a student visa to an E2, that's called a change of status. Now, a change of status for an E2 really isn't too different or particular from a general everyday change of status. What it involves is the main applicant files his or her petition. This would be an I-129 with USCIS, and you can pay an extra $2,500 for premium processing, and it'll get reviewed in 15 days. Once that gets approved, the investor's status automatically changes as of the day of the approval. However, if you've got a spouse or children, they're going to be approved a little bit later. They only start reviewing the case for them after you get your approval. So you might get your approval in 15 days, but these days it's taking sometimes 3, 4, even 5 months, sometimes even longer for the spouses and the children to get approved. So it's a bit of an inconvenient situation where the primary investor gets the approval right away, his status changes immediately. The dependents will have to wait up to 6 months. And it's important to note, you really, meaning you, the investor, really cannot leave the country while your spouse and children are waiting for their change of status. If you do leave the country, chances are very, very high that they will just deny the change of status for the dependents. So it's a bit of a problem for the investor and the dependents because they all have to stay put here in the U.S. waiting to get that approval. Once they do get it for the spouse and the children, then of course you're free to travel. But keep in mind, and we talk about this in our other videos, if you do travel outside the U.S. and you did a change of status, you're going to have to then go to the embassy before you come back to the U.S. Because when you change your status in the U.S., you don't get a visa. You only get a piece of paper that says your status changed from what it was before to an E2. So once you leave the U.S., in order to come back in, you need to get a visa. Because the visa is kind of like a ticket, like you got a ticket to go to a movie theater. You want to get back in the theater, you need to have a ticket. You need to have the visa, and that's a separate process requiring you to go in for an interview at the embassy. You can get more details about that process in our other videos, but hopefully this was helpful in terms of clarifying what you would need for an E2 change of status on the territory of the United States. If you've got more questions, feel free to reach out here in the commentary or reach out to us directly. I'd be happy to ask or answer any questions that you might have and help you formulate your strategy for transitioning to the U.S.